Thank you guys for joining and welcome to Ignite. Um, this is a power packed session, very good training. For some of you guys, you know me, some of you guys may not know me, but either way, you guys just heard the introduction and everything, what's going on. But today we're going to be talking about skills to spark your career and get you off to a good start. So some of you may be newer agents. I do see a few of you who are seasoned agents. I may lean on a couple of you guys, just for a little bit of, assistance of here today, maybe chiming in. I don't want this to be like a session where I'm just sitting here talking. I would like it to be more interactive. This is my first time actually facilitating a training, and I want this to be something where each and every one of you get something out of it today. So a lot of things that we cover in Ignite today is obviously going to be talking about becoming a real estate expert of choice. And then also, what is it going to take for you to become a real estate expert of choice and how to build your business. So the other facet is also lead generation. And then part of it also deals with lead follow-up and then also navigating through transactions. So you're going to learn about that in this Ignite series. We've condensed it into 6 sessions, but they're all going to be very power-packed, very informational, and empowering to each one of you in your businesses. So today's agenda, we're not going to go over everything that's on this agenda today, but we will talk about a new way of thinking. Real estate has a lot to do with your mindset, and for you to be successful, how to think. Keller Williams has done a great job with training and always constantly driving home that it's all about your mindset when you come into this business. So we're going to be talking a bit about your thinking. We're going to dive into 6 personal perspectives. Then from there, we're going to talk a little bit about the KW culture and our values and what brought me into the business, your career vision, and then the daily success system. We'll touch on each one of those. A little bit about myself that I want to share is that came to Keller Williams in, I think I'm in my 10th year now with Keller Williams. I may have came in 2013, I believe it was, January, right around the end of January, going into February of 2013. It's when I actually joined Keller Williams. But I've actually been a licensed real estate professional. My first year actually was in 2004. So I've been around. However, not all of those years were active in the business. My first few years I was with a different company, obviously. And then from there, I was there for about 3 years, a little over 3 years. And then I transitioned to another company where I was with for a year. The second company, I learned absolutely nothing. At that time, it was around 2008, got out of the business. And then I started bartending. And then around 2012, 2013, I was like, I really want to get back to doing what, I set out to do. It was a goal for me to get into real estate and actually have a business or build a business for myself, and real estate was very attractive to me at that time. So I just wanted to get back to doing what I do. And then I came here to Keller Williams and, and it was just the perfect match for me. And that's why I'm here to this day. So I want to talk a little bit about, I know there's probably some newer agents that are here, so feel free to use the chat if you guys have any questions or anything that you may have. Miracle in church with Murch. Okay, what's up, Mike? How you doing, brother? Okay, so forgive me, I'm a little nervous, so let me just dive in right here. Great question. This actually comes from Gary Keller out of the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. Now, today we're going to be looking at starting our careers and sparking off. And it also says anyone can do it. Not everyone will. But the big question is will you? Will you do what's necessary to go out and build a successful business? Will you do what's necessary to service your clients in the proper way and make the most out of every situation that's presented to you? So before I dive in, how many of you guys are, newer agents? You could put it in the chat. Anybody, new agents, brand new, just getting started in the business, or have been in, for at least a year? Okay, awesome. Chantel, Stephanie Page. Okay, all right. All right, so we got quite a few new agents on here today. All right, so my main question to you guys is, what attracted you to the business of real estate? Anybody can chime in. If you want, you can unmute yourself and just, answer the question. What attracted you to the business of real estate? Anyone want to share?
I'll share. I think for me, I'm very interested in all kinds of business, and I was interested in building a business for myself. I have been in building relationships for a very long time on the corporate side. And I felt like if I took those skills and applied them to a business that I was interested in, I could be even more successful. So real estate was it for me. I've always had a passion for it. So I'm here. Okay,
awesome. Thanks, Patrice, for sharing. Right, and that's just it. A lot of us come to real estate for a vast number of reasons. Obviously, we want to be in business for ourselves. So a lot of us want to get out of the employee mode and, strike out to become self-employed and become independent contractors, which is what you are in this business today. So, that's great to hear that got you motivated to get into real estate. We go through school, we go through the 4 courses, I think it's about 100 hours, we sat for the exam, we got licensed, and now you're here. But the next question, that leads to the next question, is what is your expectation for your career? You would need to know that. Anybody want to ask, what your expectation is for your career? Or Patrice, you want to share that?
Yep, I can. So for right now, my goal is to ultimately learn the business inside and out. I want to be able to service customers. I want to be able to build really good relationships and understand the business to a point that I can grow over time. Eventually down the line, I would like my own team. So in order to do that, obviously, I would need to be able to facilitate training, understand how to generate leads, understand the business, and transactional wise. So, and that's probably a 3-year goal for me. And ultimately, I want to get into development. So that's kind of a 6 to 10-year goal. So I have big goals for the business, but for right now, I'm looking to learn as much as I can, build as many relationships I can with people who are in the business, learn, and follow all of the steps that I've been given by the coaches that I work with, the people that have been in the business for years who are successful. I want to learn from them, just so that I can set a very, very good foundation for myself so that I can be successful in the business.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right. So, what? That's what this is all about here, guys. It's learning exactly what it is you need to do to be successful in the business. Keller Williams, they give you all of the tools that's necessary. So you're with a phenomenal company, which I've had the benefit of. I can speak firsthand about that. That they give you all of the tools to be successful, and they give you all of the training. So you have it right here with Keller Williams, and this Ignite series is actually very phenomenal for you guys to get your career started off. So let's dive right in. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the 6 personal perspectives. Number 1, we talk about committing to self-mastery. When you hear self-mastery, most of the times a lot of people look at it like, okay, are we committing to mastery, or, it's mastering of self, right? What does that mean to some of you guys? Self-mastery, how can you actually apply that? And we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a second, but what is self-mastery to you? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll chime in, John.
Okay.
Well, Art beat me to it. He says discipline. I think that it's comes down to being the best version of yourself, right? Real estate's a medium for us to do that, but being the best realtor doesn't mean being the best version of yourself. So if we start with that, it's gonna take us down the right path.
Exactly. So self-mastery, it simply is getting to know yourself to the T, is the way I'll put it. It's a process or possessing the knowledge, the different skills, and the habits that's going to help you to master yourself. I know some of us might look at it like, hey, it's me, master me, I know me better than anybody else can tell you. But I will tell you this, man, real estate, this type of business, you will find out a lot about yourself, okay? Along the way, whether you're going to be a person that has some tenacity and some stick to it, whether if you're going to have enough fight to go out, because, this is not something that's given to us. It's not like a regular job where I go and punch the clock, for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and they're going to tell me exactly what they're going to pay me. No, here, when you come into this business, you're coming in to build something for yourself. You're in a business for yourself, but here at Keller Williams, I'm going to tell you this is that you're not by yourself. You're not in the business just by yourself. You have a wonderful support system here, and training that's going to get you to the next level. But as far as self-mastery goes, it's going to be some times where you may bump your head on a lot of things trying to figure it out, but you got to know, okay, what works for you, what motivates you, what's going to drive you to be in here in your chair and lead generating at the highest degree, so that you can get to that next level or get to the goals that you present to yourselves. Okay, so committing to self-mastery is exactly that. It's just like the slide here is, committing to self-mastery is knowing your goals. What are your goals for yourself? And being clear about it. Me, myself, I thought I had goals and I did have goals. I would say I didn't, I had goals and everything, but I didn't start realizing what it is that I really wanted until, I actually got to a position where I sat down and I wrote out what I wanted for myself, for my life, for my family, for my business. And we'll talk about it. I got into coaching and things like that, which helped me to kind of discover a little bit more about myself. And we're going to go into that a little bit further. But knowing your goals, each one of you that's on here, if you're brand new, I challenge you. When I started, my coach told me, hey, you need to write down 100 things that you want to change about yourself, that you want to change about your career. Write down 100 things. And for the life of me, I got up to maybe 20, 25, and I was like, man, I can't think of 100 things that I want to do. And then he kept pressing me and pushing me and said, no, you need to write down 100 things. There's 100 things that you can think of. And I mulled over it for a full week. And then when I got back to my session, I didn't have 100 things. He gave me another week and came back to another section. I had gotten up to 68. And then it wasn't until he actually pushed me a little bit further, saying, John, you got to get this done. And he put a clock on me. He put a time limit on me. So, your goals, you have to make your goals what we call a SMART system. They have to be specific. They have to be measurable. Things that you can acquire, time sensitive. I can't go over everything. I'm not going to go over the whole thing right now, but know your goals. Know what it is that you want. What did you join the business for? And always keep your goals in front of you. Number 2, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. A lot of us know that we have a lot of strengths, what we come from, and we're good at what we do. But we don't come a full rounded professional until we can start developing our weaknesses and start understanding and knowing, okay, well, I'm a little weak in that area, but now I need to get out and focus on what I can do to get better. And we have a lot of tools that can help you, a lot of knowledge that's around here in Keller Williams, so many agents that are doing really well, have done great things in their business, and they're willing to help you, be successful in your business. And then number 3, know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses, and to seek mastery as a necessary knowledge, skill, and habits to reach your goal, which is kind of what I just said. Learning more about yourself is going to help you to, and committing to that, being learning based and committing to just knowing, okay, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and what can I always do to get better? The next thing is committing to the 80-20 principle. Okay. So have anyone of you ever heard of the 80-20 principle? Anyone? I know it's a lot of older agents that are on here, agents that have been here that know about the 80-20 principle. Okay, so what the 80-20 principle is basically saying that, or like it says here, 20% of your actions will drive 80% of your results. Okay, so a lot of times you hear the 20% as being what we call the big rocks, or the things that are going to drive business, that are money-making things that you can do that are going to drive the business in. Those are the things that you want to focus on. A lot of times, and I'll tell you this, I know this to be very true, we'll get wrapped up into doing and being busy and doing the busyness side of things, where, instead of doing the things that are actually that's going to lead to the production of your business, we can get wrapped up into the 80, where we're creating a lot of to-do lists, so to speak, but on those to-do lists, when we write out 20 different things that we want to check off for that day, and or 100 different things that we want to do for that week, what are the things that really matter the most that we can focus on? That will drive the results. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, they've actually broken it down to this system where it's 20% of your actions that really matter, and it's going to produce 80% of the results that we want. So,
hey, John, could you give us an example of something that is in your 20% that you have to do every day, and then something that's in your 80% that might seem like it needs to be done, but maybe can wait or doesn't have to be done at all?
Okay, great, good question. Okay, so an example of that would be, when it's time for you to do your lead generation, those are your big rocks. But instead of you doing your lead generation or things that's going to bring the business, you're checking emails, or you're fielding phone calls during that time, and really when you're on the phone, you're having just a natural conversation with other individuals, and it's not really there to drive your business. Or you're setting up showings and you're doing all of this other stuff that makes you look busy. You feel like you're busy, you're getting a lot of stuff done, but is that really what's driving the results? No, that's just the actions of the things. You're going to have to check your email, and things like that. Of course, we have to make sure that we schedule those things. And, I'm a huge proponent out, I'm still learning how to schedule things. So, and get things the way they need to go. But yeah, out of that 20%, you need to focus on, like, who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to talk to today that I can actually turn into a lead, and take them from being a lead to adding them to my sales pipeline, and then from that converting them into an actual client, and then actually turning them into a transaction, which leaves the money in your pocket. So those are what we need to focus on more. It's not about, hey, let me check all my emails, let me see who's on Facebook saying anything, and let me make the flashiest post that I can, put up and all of that stuff. Yeah, that helps. That does help, to get your name. You have to do that, to kind of get yourself out of there. But what really it boils down to is you getting on that phone, or talking to someone face to face and having a meaningful conversation about your business. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so the next thing in 6-person perspective is moving from E to P. All right, so I actually love this, the entrepreneurial approach versus the purposeful approach. And I can apply this because recently I've gotten more purposeful in my business. The entrepreneurial approach is basically you're going to hit, everybody has their own natural ceiling to where they can go. They can only produce as much. And I was experiencing this a lot in my business where, it's just like, I get to a certain level and I bump my head, and then, some of those times you'll have that real estate roller coaster going on. And where you have a lot of ups and then you have downs and you're in the valleys and everything, and you're only getting to a certain level. And then like you see here on the thing where, you have disappointments, resignations, people start to quit if they only get so far. You're going to bump your head at a natural, like I said, the natural ceiling. You're going to bump your head, but then you need to figure out what it is going to get you your breakthrough. For me, a few years ago, it was like, hey, I'm having a good year. In my opinion, I thought I was having a pretty good year. And, I wanted to be a capper. I knew I wanted to be a capper. I wanted to get on this capping scale. And I think it was 2019. I was really close to capping, but my ceiling had only been around 16, 17 deals a year, and I had never been past that point, listing wise. I wasn't a big lister. I would list properties, but it would only be a few per year. I think at that time, the most listings I had taken in my real estate career may have been 8 to 10 listings in a year. And then I was so buyer heavy. I was comfortable with working buyers. When I first got in real estate, I learned more about how to work with a buyer and have a strong presentation. So I would always fall back to what my comfort level was. And that was working with buyers. And then working with buyers, buyers, it takes a lot of your time and your energy. You're moving around a lot. You're going from here and there, and buyers will run you, but when I got to a point where it was like, I need to figure out me and how to get past this level. Actually, Mike Rapasky sat down with me again, was like, hey, I think you would benefit from coaching. You should really consider that. So coaching was a part of me moving from the entrepreneurial side, wanting to go out, grab people, make some sales and all of that stuff to fund, the things that I needed for in life. But when I started getting more purposeful about business, meaning now I'm changing my focus and I'm learning the certain models and the systems and things that are going to lead to my breakthrough, was when I started saying, okay, what do I feel about me? What do I feel about my business? I started thinking a little bit differently about business and how I wanted my business to be, how I wanted people to treat me in my business, how I wanted people to look at me in my business. And then once you figure that part out, really is finding out, okay, what models and systems can I put in place in order for me to get to that next level? Coaching did that for me. It helped me to put, not that I was doing anything wrong in my business. I was doing a lot of the right things, but what it was, I just couldn't figure out, okay, what's holding me right here? Once I get here, I just don't have that extra And then all it was just a few things that was just changed in my systems. The models that I was following and things that I had to put in place. Once I changed that, the breakthrough started happening. And then now look at it today, business has more than tripled in this year, which to me is phenomenal. It's not where I want to be just yet, but I'm always still looking to be, grow better. So moving from entrepreneurial to knowing what your purpose and what you want out of your business can lead to a serious breakthrough for you guys. Being learning based. Okay, so make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. I love this because this business is so vast. There's no way that you're ever going to know everything about this business. And then there's always room for improvement. I don't care if you're selling 100 homes to 1,000 homes a year. There's always something that you can do to get better. And, being learning based, the way people are taking themselves to those numbers and those levels is because they have they choose to better themselves and sharpen their sword by being learning based, getting into trainings, going to different things that KW actually has, bold. Bold was a great way for the break, to break through and actually help you get out your mold and actually push you. Number one, it talks about your mindset. A lot of things that we're talking about today, pushing you to do a certain number of contacts per week. Sometimes you just need to learn a little bit more, get around people who are doing the things that you want to do, and just, whatever nugget that you can get out of that you can apply to your business, it's right there. I'll tell you this, if you plug in and you stay plugged in, great things can happen for you. Great things are definitely going to happen for you in your business. So once you get here, Keller Williams has ongoing trainings, things that you can always get involved in. And this will actually help to drive and push your business. So, always be learning based, whether it's reading books, whatever it is, you might be able to come into the office and talk to some of the other agents, just having a meaningful conversation and asking them about what are they doing in their business. And it could lead to a breakthrough for you. So always be learning based. Never be the type of person where you feel like, oh, I got it all and I can make this happen no matter what, because if you do that, you're going to end up limiting yourself. Okay. Does anybody have anything to say about anything that they've heard so far? Can anybody share something with us?
I think learning base is very important, so I mean, as you keep learning, of course you keep growing, and of course you have to implement, surrounding yourself with great realtors and in a learning environment. I mean, you can learn things by just in passing that can just change your business and have it present a different way of thinking from the people in our the realtors in our office and market center. I mean, we have some of the best agents in the country in our market center. So learning is very important.
Absolutely. All right. So here's a nice little quote here, guys. Our Einstein, he says, "I am neither especially clever nor especially gifted. I am only very curious." What does that say to you guys? What's that speaking to your system, into you today? Can anybody share?
So with this, it kind of gets me thinking. So I know whenever I do any kind of training or coaching session and I learn something new, it almost not so much like overwhelms me, but like takes me over. I get like so excited and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do this exact thing. It's gonna get me all these results. It's gonna be awesome. And like I can't even count how many times that this has happened to me. Whenever I learn something new, I just get so excited. I'm like, man, this is great. I can do this right now. I know how to implement this. I'm like, and then I just like get overwhelmed by it. I'm like, all right, let's go do it now. I'm like, because, why not? But yeah, like I'm the kind of person, I haven't been in this business for decades. I don't know all there is to do. And I don't think myself as like a real estate mogul. I'm not like, the grand poobah of real estate. But, I'm curious and I'm excited. And, I just tell like all the people that I work with, I will fight for, I'm just as excited for your house as you are. Like, because at the end of the day, I got in this to help people. So I want you to get to where you want to be.
Okay. All right. So basically what this quote has to do is just basically, saying being learning based simply means just staying in curiosity and being eager to learn more. So always, just have a hunger and a passion for, for learning more. The next thing we're going to get talking to is about removing limiting beliefs. Okay. Like it says here, unlimiting beliefs. When you unlimit your thinking, you unlimit your success. Limiting beliefs, says, I don't have enough time to train. I can't be successful in this market. I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. In those senses, you you kind of limit yourself to what you can do, really, and can anybody share maybe some thoughts that they've had, like some limiting beliefs about themselves? You guys are new in the business. What are you feeling right now that might be limiting you from going out and, starting to build your business? Let me see, I'm gonna call somebody out. Who's on here? There's a few people that had their cameras off, but would anybody like to share?
I think also sometimes, John, that it's hard to think that you could do it in Cleveland, Ohio. There's that limiting belief about like our market.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, like you feel like you meet an agent, let's say in California or New York or something, and you're like, big deal. You paid $20,000, $30,000 of commission with every single transaction. And here I'm working so hard for $2,500 or something, or whatever, or volume or units or whatever you want to call it. But then you have to turn that around and really think like, this is really not about Cleveland. If you're in sales, excuse me, if you're in sales, you just have to have more sales. And if you want to increase your price point, you could actively do that too. There's lots of sort of like different ways to do it, but it's not about Cleveland, but you could get limited thinking.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm in Cleveland, so it's like a limited market.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you this, you're very right, Shoshana. Sometimes we can seem that, to me, when you have limiting beliefs, I think those wind up being excuses for you not to go out and do your best. And firsthand, I'm guilty of limiting beliefs. Even to this day, I still have some things that I'm dealing with, or I have to go and, push my way through. Sometimes we feel like, oh, unless this is right, I can't make this happen. Or if I don't have the skills that this next person has, so I don't know that I can go out and get this listing. Man, I don't know what to say, at certain times. You might feel that way. I felt all of these emotions and things in myself, or maybe even you might think, hey, I don't have the best car right now that I can't go over here and get this listing in Pepper Pike. If I pull up, they're going to look at me like, oh man, what is this guy doing here? Those are all limiting beliefs. Bottom line, is, when you decide that you want to go for something and you commit to going forward, nothing really can hold you back. Nothing really can hold you back. If you really want something, you're willing to fight for it, then you can go out there and get it. Sometimes you have to just put the cables on those limiting beliefs, because we all feel them at some point. But at that point, you just got to catch yourself and say, okay, what is my goal here? What am I really looking to do? Okay, how can I get past this thought? Or what is it that I need to do so that I can have the confidence? Because limiting beliefs is really a confidence issue. What is it that I can build upon in my business to help me have the confidence that I need to go in and sit before these people and have an intelligent conversation with them, which can lead to a listing, or which can lead to me working with this buyer that's looking to buy a $500,000 home. So we have to, start telling ourselves and speaking to ourselves in different ways. Maybe write affirmations. I know affirmations are cool, are a great way to start telling yourself something in the morning. Maybe you have to prime yourself and get up and prime yourself to get ready to do what you need to do in your business. And then just tell yourself, hey, listen, I'm not thinking negatively about myself today. I'm thinking only positive. I can do this. I can do, I can achieve what it is that I'm setting myself out to do, and learn to remove those limiting beliefs, because coming into this business, you're going to deal with a lot of them. As you bump your head, as you go through transactions, you're learning about the business. It's going to take a little bit of time, before you truly feel like you've got it. Some of you guys might come into business and take off right away, but I'm gonna tell you, that's not going to be everybody's flight. That wasn't my flight. There was a learning curve. I'm still on the learning curve, and I'm looking to get to another level. Because once you had your breakthrough and you get to the next level, then it's the same thing again. It's like, all right, now I've done it. Now what? And then you're gonna start feeling those feelings again. It's like, okay, I've got here. What's next? What do I do now? You know, those fears can creep back in, and that's all limiting beliefs really are, just fears. You know, and you know, we've heard that adage before. You know, fear is what false evidence appearing real. You know, but I like to look at it as face everything and rise. You know, so you need to tell yourself something different. I'm not afraid to go out and make this happen. Doing this today, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. You know, sitting here facilitating in front of you. This is the first time I've done this, man. Oh my God. You talk about the limiting beliefs that was there. And you know, talk to Rapaski, you know, and you know, help me. I need help to get this, you know, get myself on the right track. What can I do? You know, and then after talking with him, he was saying, this is all you had to do. Guess what? I'm sitting here before you guys right now, you know, taking coaching. I had a lot of fear in that, you know, so remove the unlimiting beliefs. Those are the things that are going to hold you back. So, you know, push yourself to get better at all times and just, you know, don't worry about it and just keep moving. Just keep moving. You guys are going to be great. The sixth personal perspective is actually about being accountable. And this is the last one. You know, what is accountability, or what does being accountable mean to you? What does that mean to you? Anybody?
For me, it's showing up for myself. When I say I'm going to do something, do it. If I create a task for myself, like lead generating, make sure that I show up. I'm lead generating for myself. I'm lead generating to grow my business. So if I set out to do it, then get it done.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Patricia. Appreciate that. Exactly. It's being accountable to, sometimes, you know, in these type of business, you need something to hold you accountable. Whether you have a family, whether it's your wife, your children, you're accountable to something somewhere. You know, however, you sometimes have to allow yourself to be accountable to someone, you know, somebody to hold you accountable to something. For me, it's coaching now, you know, to get to that next level. It's not just about my family, you know, it's being accountable to my goals that I've set for myself and wanting to see those come into fruition. So, you know, really all accountability is it's an attitude and an approach to your entire life. You know, an accountable person is going to say everything in my life, you know, is a result of my choices or my actions. You know, I own my life. You know, a person that's not accountable is those that are going to make excuses and say, well, yeah, this, you know, this happened because, you know, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. You know, that's not taking accountability. Taking accountability is, okay, well, listen, we've heard if it's meant to be, then it's up to me. We've heard that. You know, and yes, that is very true in some instances, you know, but sometimes you just need to be accountable to somebody or check in with somebody that can hold you to your goals. You need to tell somebody, okay, this is what I'm looking to do. You know, sometimes we'll keep it to ourselves, you know, hey, I can push this. I'm gonna look at here and I can, I want to, you know, do this, but nobody knows what your goals really are, you know, other than you, you know, and a lot of times we run away from our goals because we haven't got that individual that's going to hold the flame, you know, hold the flame to you and say, hey, this is what you need to do. You know, are you going to do it? You know, and that's what it kind of boils down to. Kind of like this thing here, it says life happens, reality shows up. A person that's not accountable, they don't seek reality. You know, a person that is accountable, they seeks reality in every situation, okay? Number two, you might fight reality. That's a little small here, I can't really read all of that. But, you know, people might fight reality in a way where, okay, you know, really, in a situation, this is what's going on, but you might not want to acknowledge the reality of things. You know, a person that's accountable, they acknowledge the reality of things and they own it. You know, the person that's not accountable, they're going to blame it. You know, like I said, the person that is taking accountability, they own their situation. No personal excuses. We're going to find solutions if you're an accountable individual. most unaccountable individual people are not accountable. They wait and they hope. You know, an accountable person is going to take action. They get on with it. They're going to make things happen. They're going to go out and they're going to make the change that's necessary for them in their lives. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much the 6 perspectives. And this thing said, happy is not an individual sport. It's not an individual sport. Sometimes you need that person that's going to anchor you and actually going to help you to push. That's going to push you. Any ahas from what we've heard so far about the 6 personal perspectives?
Let's get some good ahas, guys. If you haven't heard or been clued into it, AHAs, AHA stands for Agents Helping Agents. So even if you are shy, don't be afraid to share, because it will help somebody else better understand the content that John just took us through. Shoshana?
John, I liked when I said something and you said, tell me more. I was actually thinking that you could even self-coach using that line, so that when something gets stuck up in your head that you're kind of like, you know, kind of spinning negative on, that you could be like, well, tell me more about that. And then if you really dig into it, because we were talking about limiting beliefs, right? If you really dig into it, then you're like, okay, let's just get out of that, because it just doesn't help propel what you're trying to do, like in your 20%, you know, or even look, take it, spin it positive. Like if you're staying in your 20%, you're like, what's in your 20%? Well, tell me more. Like, how does that affect, how does your 20% actually drive 80% of your you know, your results? Like that's cool. I mean, that's so cool to think about. Like, just, I don't know how it all comes together.
Right.
So a lot of it's up in your head. I don't know.
Right. No, you know, I appreciate that feedback. It's Shoshana, I've watched you and I've learned a lot from you over the years as well. And
That's mutual.
right. So, you know, this right here is a learning curve for me as well. So I appreciate that feedback. You know, it's only here to help me get better. And I plan on getting better and maybe facilitating some more of these sessions. But anyone else have anything else? Anybody put anything in the chat?
I would say learn to be accountable, to have an accountability partner. I don't really hold myself accountable when I don't have any family members I depend on. So I was going to reach out to some agents to hold me accountable for my business.
All right, Tracy, thanks for that. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can hold yourself accountable in this business. Like you said, you know, get your accountability partner, you know, maybe coming into the office and doing script practice, things like that. I had got into a mode of that where, you know, I was doing script practice, and it's all part of getting on the right track to moving your business. So yeah, being accountable, that's one thing, but, you know, just figuring out, okay, what is it that you're going to be accountable to will help you, or who you can be accountable to is a big piece. So yeah, Tracy, I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of things in the chat, John. Just Bernadette says she's responsible and capable for pushing herself to a higher level, and that going to the office is a great way to be accountable, especially around other agents. John, you're what I would call an office body. Why? What do you get out of being in the office on a regular basis, or why do you prioritize it?
Well, I don't know if I call myself an office body. I'm here sometimes. And sometimes I'm here when other individuals aren't. Like, I'll come in the evenings and I'll be here. But a reason why I come to the office is because it gets me in a different space. It gets me in a different place where I can focus or sit down and say, all right, well, I need to knock out this. I need to knock out this. And I don't have the outside distractions. Now, at the same time, you know, if you come to the office, sometimes you can be distracted, but, you know, you have to come in with your plan and saying, hey, this is what I got to get knocked out. And coming to the office, like I said, just puts you in a different mind space, you know, of work, as opposed to being at home in my basement and my, you know, at my table, where kids can come down and ask a bunch of questions and things like that. Coming to the office actually creates a synergy also, because you have like-minded individuals that are around you. That could, if you use it the right way, you can use that to push you. You know, I watched a lot of other agents, you know, just Shoshana, like I said, Carol, Jermaine, who have built phenomenal businesses. You know, but, you know, I sit back, at times I'm a little to myself and quiet, but I'm watching, you know, okay, what's going on around me. You know, I'm taking notes, you know, I'm listening and all of that stuff. You know, but if you don't come to the office, you kind of rob yourself of that opportunity to actually be amongst other agents and get to know other agents as well, you know, and what's working for them. So that's part of that being plugged in, you know, getting into the trainings and all that stuff. But being plugged in means, hey, I'm gonna commit to getting to the office so that I can, you know, produce a little bit more, and then also maybe learn from some other individuals. You know, sometimes you can help other people by coming to the office as well, you know, who might look at you as, okay, well, he's doing this or he's doing that, you know, what can I get, you know, get from him? But being there in the office gives you that opportunity to actually, you know, move your business to another level and pushing things out too. So that's why I like to get to the office every now and then. Yeah, it does help your mindset. Okay, so the next thing, we're just gonna dive into a few things real briefly about the Keller Williams culture. I always love, this is kind of what attracted me to the business, is our mission, the mission to help build, you know, careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. Does that speak to any one of you? You know, what, when you hear that mission, what does that feel like? How does that connect with you? Anyone? Okay.
So looking at this, it just seems kind of like, in general, it just says like, you know, the mission is just to be happy what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want a career worth having. So you want to, you know, come to quote unquote work every day, like you look forward to it. You're proud of the business you have, like you brag about it. And, you know, because you're happy at what you do, you know, you enjoy everything outside of work as well. And then just keep going on to this, you know, and then because you're not unhappy with the experiences, you know, you want to share all these good times that you have. And then at the end of the day, if you know, if you've had this enjoyable career, life, business, all that good stuff, then like you leave behind this almost like energy of enjoyment, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll tell you this, and what I always got out of this mission statement is it's not even about the words that's in bold, the careers, the business, the lives. The main thing that I always take about out of this is the word that follows all of those, and that's worth. You know, knowing what you're worth, you know, your career's worth. What is it worth to you? You know, what are the things, what are experiences worth? You know, what's the worth of the legacy that you want to leave? So that's the one thing that's always kind of stood out to me. It's like, you know, I want something that's worth my time. I want something that's worth being able to be, you know, talk about. You know, I want to build that type of career, you know, that's worth talking about, you know, and then also being able to live the lifestyle that I want to live. You know, that's the worth that I get out of that mission statement. And Keller Williams breeds a lot of this into us as agents, even with our belief system. It's always connected with me in making the choice to be with Keller Williams is because, yes, we want to be in a win-win situation. You know, I want to be with a company that's about integrity and doing the right things because I feel that's something that's within me. You know, I always want to work from out of integrity. You know, and servicing clients and customers with integrity, you know, the commitment and being committed in all things, communication, creativity, teamwork, trust, equity, success. That's all about the Keller Williams belief system. And it actually is what drives our mission statement, drives us to be, to the mission statement. We have a lot of things that we can be involved in. Yes, Colleen, creating a lifestyle and not just selling the next house. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's about worth right there, Colleen. I appreciate that. We have a lot of things that you can actually get involved in, with Keller Williams, Red Day, phenomenal thing. I always participate in Red Day because it's a way that we can give back to our community. KW Cares, man, is great because, it's about, Keller Williams cares about your agents. They care about their agents. And that's phenomenal. So things that you can get plugged in with is helping out in some of these areas. KW Kids can, it's about, the future and turning and empower our young adults. And then we also have what's called the KW Brown or Black Realtor Network. That's something awesome that we can plug into also. Any ahas out of that section there, guys? You just put it in the chat box. I'm trying to push a little bit faster here because we only have a few minutes left.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I understand what you're saying about, the things you did in your business, like you said, the lead generating, changing your models, and the SMART goals. Took some notes on that. And by the way, you're doing a great job. But those are things that someone does to grow the business, the external things, right? So I'm never really, the external things, we all know, lead generating, make calls, we know to do that. But what is what would you say is the thing you did in your thinking that changed? What did you do internally or your thinking that caused the great change or the exponential growth in your business? Like one or two things like that, a mindset shift that you caused the great change.
Oh, that's a great question, Art. Art's always challenging me, man. That's why I love him, man. That's what I do. Man, that's a great question. What was one or two things that I changed? Internally, I don't think I ever thought that I was a bad agent or a horrible agent. It was just more so me figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to get to the next level? What am I doing that's keeping me from this type of success that I want to have? And I think the biggest change that I made, wow, I got to really think about this. The biggest thing that I think I had to change is thinking that I need to have everything in place. So everything needs to be right in order for me to be successful. And I think one thing that I did get out of coaching, or not just one thing, but the main thing I always got out of the coaching is that you don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. For a little while, I was looking like something, we always learn that you can't judge, look at what's on the other individuals' outsides and compare what we do to them. We see a lot of people might look like they're having a lot of success, but you don't really know what they're going through or what they're putting in order to make that happen. And a lot of times it's easy to come in and compare yourself to the next individual because it looks like they're doing this. But you got to look at, okay, what am I willing to go out and do? What am I willing to go out and make happen? So once I stop looking at it that way and I start thinking that, hey, this has to be like this in order for me to be successful, really, I had to start giving that excuse to myself. I had to start giving that excuse to myself. What it really boils down to is the big rocks. Thanks, Colleen. Being intentional about making something happen. The biggest change has always been the person that's going to get out. I'm going to run, whatever the situation. If I can get there, I'm going to find a way to get there. If the car is down or whatever, I'm going to find a way to make it happen. So making no excuses for anything, Stop making excuses and just figure out what you're supposed to do and do that first. Do that first, and you're going to see a big difference. So stop thinking that you have to have everything right, because nobody does. Nobody has everything right in the beginning, or, sometimes even throughout their career, they might not have everything right, but none of those things matter. When it really boils down to it, nobody knows your story, what you're going through, unless you tell them, and I think I used to come to the office, and I would tuck myself in the production booth real quiet, trying not to be seen. And because I was feeling that way. Once I, started letting some of that go, and I still deal with it every now and then, but once I started letting some of that go and just start figuring out, all right, what do I need to do? Period. I want to win. I had to decide that I wanted to win, and I could win here. And once I made that decision to just go out and make something happen, I believe that God opened up those doors for me to walk through. He'll put the door in front of you, but you got to walk through it. Okay, Denise, what did you say? I'm stuck in the 9 to 5. Jump into the 2.
I'll jump in on that one from Denise. Denise, your situation is it's not one we don't see a lot of agents encounter when it comes to taxes, insurance, retirement planning. What we as a company have heard agents say, like, hey, this is something that holds me back, or this is something I don't understand, or I don't know how to do this as a 1099. We have a series of business resource partners, bookkeeping, accountants, investment planners, life and health insurance advisors that are all curating products for our agents as 1099s. And Keller Williams Realty International actually has a global partnership with Capstone Financial to offer access to healthcare plans through the exchange that individual agents wouldn't otherwise have. So if you'd like to learn more about that, if anybody'd like to learn more about that, we do our monthly Money Matters Mastermind, third Friday of every month. We hit on one of these groups. And then if you need resources now, just email me and I will connect you directly to all of our partners, and they can help start helping support you in better understanding what's out there right away.
Thanks for that, Mike. Man, I actually know Denise personally. Denise was actually a co-agent of mine at my first real estate company. And to speak to that, Denise, I would say this. All of us come in, we may be working a job, and not to overstep what you just said, Mike, but I just wanted to just kind of add to that. At some point, you got to make a decision on where you want to win. I haven't worked a full-time job. I quit my job in 2019, and it was just me getting focused. A lot of times those are just, like you said, you're afraid. It's that fear of letting go of the security. And then that pulls us back into a comfort zone to where we end up being stuck, like you said. If you can just trust in yourself and trust that things will happen for you in this business, as long as you get focused, then all of that other stuff is just the byproduct of you just being in the job. Insurances and all of that stuff. Once you start getting focused here and you start making the money that you need to make and that you can make in the business, all of that other stuff is going to be taken care of. I don't know if that helps, but just wanted to say that. Okay, anything else? Okay, I think we are just about at we're a little bit after the 10:30 mark. So Mike, should we wrap this up now? I mean, there's not much more.
John, why don't you bounce ahead to career vision and daily success systems?
Okay.
And we will I want you to hit on this, because I know that, Ignite is about getting into the right habits, right?
Right.
And doing things on a consistent basis to get what you want. And I really think that this exercise for anybody at any stage or age in their career is a good one, right? When you think about the 6 personal perspectives, when you think about goal setting, when you think about life in any aspect, the key to getting what you want is becoming aware of what you want, where you are, and then building a path to get there. And so why don't you hit this and then hit some of those daily success metrics? Because I know we do have a lot of new agents on this call. And I bet that if they just started doing those 4 little things that we're going to recommend, they're going to have a real big fall.
Okay. All right. So simply this, your vision is for your future. Your vision, your future. You know where you are today. You know exactly where you are today. And where would you want to be a year from now? Think about, well, let's visualize this for a second. If we think about a year from now, for the next 12 months, what are you going to implement? After 1 year from now, your business is thriving, kind of like it says here. I'm just read this here, and your life is everything you've dreamed of. Your customers rave about the experience and the value you provide, and think of you when they have a real estate need. Your families and friends are so proud of your success and are consistently referring business your way. You are helping others live their dreams of owning a home because you are focused on helping them get what they desire. You are building the foundation and momentum for your entire career and gaining relationships and experiences and the income you desire. You are the top agent in your market center, or the rookie of the year if you're new. You are poised to hire a part-time assistant to handle the 80% while you take care of the 20% that grows your business. You are on the path to, then you fill in the blank. For me, that blank will be financial freedom. This is so important because, like I said earlier, you need to know what it is that you want. Like when I said those 100, that list of 100 things to change, I'm gonna challenge each and every one of y'all not to even do 100, just do 50 things, to get started. If you can come out with 50 things that you want to change about your life in this next year, what would that do for you? Where would that put you a year from now? How are you going to feel about yourself? How are you going to feel about your business? What is that filling the rest? What is that for you? So you need to think about that. Keep that goal in front of you. Yeah, we know everybody comes in, they can say, I want to make a ton of money, but is that really, your motivation in the business just to make a ton of money? Or is it to be able to, help somebody, or maybe be able to, being successful in business will bring money, but we want to be successful in our business and have money for the things that it actually can do for us. So, I encourage you maybe not to make your goal. You can make a goal for whatever amount of money you want, and make it lawfully. Don't make it something that's so limited, that's easily accomplishable, because then you're not pushing yourself. So have a vision for yourself, what it is that you want in your business. Write those goals down, and share them with somebody, what it is that you want. I don't know if I'm maybe bringing this through the right way, but I want to make sure that this is really important, because I had to really sit down and think about what I want for my family. What do I want for my kids? I've been striving for some stuff for a long time, and some things are starting to come to fruition, and I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor. So think about it. This part really helps. Where do I want to be a year from now? Where do I want to be 3 years from now? And then what's my 5-year goal? Write those things out. And like the Bible tells you, write the vision and make it plain. When you say write the vision and make it plain, it's making it plain to you, yourself. All right, because once you start writing out your goals and all of that stuff, it does something for you subconsciously, you know, to where you'll start doing things. You're out here, you're just working, and then before you know it, you've knocked off a goal that you might not even looked at in a while. That's happened to me. I went back to check my list, and man, I'm like, man, oh, I did this. But subconsciously, you've primed yourself for those goals because you broke them down. So that's very, having a clear and concise plan for what you want to do in your real estate business and in your life will work miracles, if that makes sense. I don't necessarily want to touch on this one right now. I'll have somebody else. To achieve success, you need motivation and inspiration for doing it. Your big why. Okay. So again, you know, what's motivating you? What's going to push you to do everything? You know, if it's your children, you know, maybe it's just taking them on a vacation. Maybe it's just wanting to have a little peace of mind or something. You know, you need to figure out what is your why, what's going to motivate you to get in mode, get into the office or wherever you need to go for you to be the best you that you can be. Okay. And that's going to be powered by your big why. Any aha from that section there?
Patrice had a really big one in the chat that I'd like her to share, or if you could read for everybody, because I think there is a lot of clarity and even humility in that statement around, you know, asking good questions.
Yeah, so basically, if we put in the work, the results will follow. I know that I have to be intentional about the actions necessary to grow my business. And for me, that means following a schedule, building relationships, and asking questions. I know a lot of times we don't want to reach out of fear of not knowing. But that's been successful for me. The most successful agents that I've developed relationships with in the office, they'll tell you, I will call and ask a million questions. I'll have them walk me through things. You know, and they've been very open and helping. You know, they reach out to follow up, and that has helped me a lot. You know, and I just want to be resourceful. You know, I had a conversation with Eric last week, and I was a little frustrated because sometimes, you know, you let things get in the way and you don't always follow the schedule that you have in place because things come up, life happens. And one of the things he said is that when you don't know how to do something, you'd have to make sure you figure it out. You can figure it out. There are a million resources out here for us, especially on YouTube. Agents are very helpful. The material that they provide for us, there's a lot of answers in the material that they've given us in different trainings. So really just being resourceful and educating yourself and being knowledgeable so that you can be confident.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
God, I love that.
That was so right. Right. And you know what? I do my coaching with Eric, and I've heard that before. You know, if you don't know the answer to something, what are you going to do?
Hey, real quick, Patrice, have you ever called anybody and they're like, why are you calling me? I don't want to talk to you. I'm not here to help you.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Everybody that I've spoken to, they are very helpful. They even reach out to me, you know, to follow up. How, you know, the information that I gave you, did it work? How's it going? So I can't. Listen, Keller, it's amazing. Like the support, the amount of support that you get from people is amazing. And at first, I didn't want to speak up. I actually reached out to an agent via Instagram, like in the very beginning. You know, just didn't know who they were. Just I see that they're always on, they're successful. They've been in like leadership, like some of the leadership groups and talks. And I reached out and they called me immediately, send me a direct message back and said, hey, here's my number, call me. And ever since then, they've been a huge resource as well. So I think everyone is extremely helpful, and I really appreciate it.
That's incredible.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Patrice. Next thing is going to be the daily success system, which we normally call the daily 10-4. Basically, all this is a guide to tell you what you need to do and how you can be successful in your business. You know, having 10 conversations, you know, 10 meaningful conversations about your business and making or adding 10 contacts to your database, building your database, sending out 10 handwritten notes, and then also 10 social media engagements can help you be successful in your business and make touches and contacts. So utilize this model. You know, if you're ever stuck or anything, you need to know what you need to do on the daily basis. You know, to build success is as simple as, you know, what you see here, you know, 10 conversations, adding 10 contacts to your database, writing 10 handwritten notes, and then using the 10-5-1 model for social media engagement.
10-5-1 for anyone who is not a social media guru is like 10 posts, comment on 5 posts, and then make 1 post.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need, and here's the great thing about that, I've found as somebody who can spend untold amount of time on Instagram Reels or on Facebook Stories, is it makes you intentional about engaging in social media, right? You don't have to do an all or nothing.
Okay. I had a few other things that I wanted to get to, but we are short on time. I do want to touch base on this real quick. You know, we're supposed to get into the part where we're going to do lead generation. And some of you may have a fear of getting on the phone or making those contacts. And for the fear, most times people just feel like, oh, I don't know what to say. You know, if I'm contacting my sphere of influence, you know, if I haven't talked to them in a while, you know, what can I say or how can I break into a conversation? And the real easy way to do that is to remember this acronym, which is called the FORWARD method. Okay. It's basically an icebreaker where, you know, you come into a conversation, things you want to talk to them about is about their family, you know, ask them about their occupation. Are there any recreations that they're involved in dreams? It's a good way. A lot of times you get into the conversation, you might say, hey, you know, hey, Mike, how you doing? You know, it's been a while. I haven't talked to you in a while. You know, how's the family? And, you know, he'll answer a question to tell you, okay, well, this, okay, well, great. You know, I'm glad to hear that. You know, how's work going for you today? You know, how, you know, what are you doing these days for work and all of that stuff? You know, how's work treating you? You know, and then you're starting to get him into a point where he's starting to speak with you a little bit more. You don't have to go in, hey, you know, this is John, you know, I'm calling because I need some real estate leads and all of this stuff. No, you got to have a genuine conversation with people, especially the people in your sphere, because they want to know that you're there to, people like to talk about themselves and they want to hear that you actually care about those things. So begin with asking certain questions, you know, about the family, you know, occupation and things like that, which will open you up to be able to then go into your ask of what it is that you're asking for from them. You know, then you can talk about yourself. You know, hey, this, you know, real estate is going really well. I just started, you know, my real estate career and, you know, I could use a little bit of help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, you know, on the call, especially when because when you talk about your spirit, you're talking about people that you know, and reach out to them and utilize this method. I don't know if I explained that clearly to anybody. Maybe you guys got it, but you know, that's basically what this FORWARD method is about, so that you can create a powerful conversation, so that you can actually get your point across and then go for the ask that you're looking for, which obviously is you're looking for leads. You know.
Hey, John, real quick for our newest agents.
Mm-hmm.
This is a script you have to learn to love, because what happens when you ask somebody a question, right? If I walked in and I was like, hey, John, how you doing? What would you say?
Oh, everything's great.
Yeah. And you might even ask me how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So when you ask people in your sphere, new agents specifically, right, that are coming from a different career, who are getting out there and you're building a business. When you ask somebody about their family, they're going to say, the family's good. How about yours? Like, oh yeah, mine's good too. Just did, you know, 5th anniversary, whatever. how's work going for you? And they'll give you an answer. And they're like, what about you? What's going on with work? And you're like, well, actually, I just started a new job. I'm starting to build a real estate business. And what you get is the opportunity to tell this story in a completely non-offensive, non-aggressive, non-needy way. And then, you close this whole thing out with recreation and dreams. What are you doing for fun? What you guys do this summer? Any plans for the fall? You're going to visit the folks, da, 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 da. And what you just did is you started to dig into their brain that, hey, I'm a realtor. Hey, I can help. Hey, I'm looking for business. And that is a great way to do that with people who already know, like, and trust you, but don't yet know that you're in the throes of building a real estate business.
There it is. Drop the mic. I don't have anything else to say. We're just gonna get to the ahas. I'm gonna wrap up this session today. Anybody have anything to say, or any comments, or anything, any questions that we can ask and that we can answer in this moment? Anyone else? Anything?
Nah, John, there's just going to be a lot of love in the chat for you. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate your willingness to continue to move from E to P, getting comfortable doing what's uncomfortable. I know that you didn't do a backflip when we asked you to help us out with this, because you've been dying for an excuse to speak to 30 people at once. But we really, really appreciate it. I think that there's a level of authenticity that you bring to this conversation specifically around sparking your career. And I'm so happy to see so many new agents, but also so many agents, experienced agents, agents who have been in the business, who are looking to hit that next level. Ignite for everybody is it's another way to move from E to P, no matter where you are in the business, right? Models, systems, strategies, schedules, techniques, tactics, you name it. It's all included in this really dense 2-week series that we've put together. So yeah, open up your chat box, John. You're getting a ton of love.
I'm looking at it now. I appreciate everybody. I only get better by things like this. I need to know what I could do to get better. So I'm gonna drop my email in here. I would love for you guys to maybe email me something if there was something that you felt like I could have done better, or